So many airplanes today. Hey guys, Bethany here with the next chapter, and today I am doing my June wrap-up. So out of the books that I wanted to read in the month of June, I actually only got to 2.5 of them, and then the other ones that I finished were totally not on my list, not even on my radar at all, but I ended up picking them up and reading them. So I'm hoping that some of the ones that I missed in June I'll be able to read in July instead. The first book that I read in the month of June was called Anxious People, and I actually read another one by this author last year, and it was called Britt Marie Was Here, and I really enjoyed that one, and I've heard really good things about Anxious People, so I was excited to pick this one up, and it didn't disappoint. Anxious People is about this bank robber who the bank robbery goes awry, and the bank robber ends up at an open house at an apartment and takes all these people who are at the open house hostage. And that experience of not just being in that hostage situation, but the kind of the life stories and backgrounds of all the different people that are in this apartment. And it, you know, when you hear the word hostage situation, you automatically think, you know, certain preconceived notions about what this book is like, and it's actually kind of a funny and quirky book. This Fredrik Backman has a knack for writing these quirky and fun characters and making some really unique observations about life. And this book, nothing is really quite as it seems, and you get to learn about all these different characters and the different things that they have going on in their lives and their different perspectives. And so it was a really fun book. I would put it in the lighter read category, so you know, it wasn't anything too heavy or daunting to read. It definitely something that I enjoyed reading in the summertime when I just want to relax. The next one that I read was called 50 Words for Rain, and I've already done an individual review of this one because I really enjoyed it, and we read it for my book club. I'll tell you briefly about it, but I'm also going to link up above my review for that one so you can hear more in depth my thoughts about it. But it takes place in Japan in the 1950s and 60s, and we have a young girl whose mother is Japanese and her father is an American, GI, African American, and the difficulties that presents for her. She experiences a lot of prejudice from her family. Her extended family. She has to go live with her grandparents, and her mom goes off, and her grandparents are not happy about it, and they are not kind to her, and it goes through her life there. So what I liked about this one is it wasn't entirely predictable. As I was thinking stuff was going to happen in it, it wouldn't go the direction I thought. So, but check out my more in-depth review on that one. I think you guys will all enjoy that one if you are lovers of historical fiction like I am. The next one that I read was called Outlawed, and this one was strange. It takes place in South Dakota in 1800s, you know, cowboy times, and but it almost has this little bit of it doesn't have magic, but the characters in it have a lot of superstition. So the people in the area believe that, you know, if a woman can't have children, that she is basically a witch, and she's the one that will cause, you know, if a baby's born with a birth defect or a stillborn or someone has a miscarriage, it must be the fault of this woman who can't have kids, and she must be a witch. And this is a pervasive notion in the whole area, so not just this one main character. And obviously this happens to this character, and so she goes out and joins this band of outlaw women who are all in the same situation. I liked this one, but I had struggles with it reconciling the superstition fitting into that time period. You know, but I did like it, and it was very interesting, but that was my one difficulty with it. So yeah, I'll be interested to know if any of you have read this one, what you thought of it. The next one that I read was for my online book club, and for the month of June we're reading the way that book club works is that there's several different titles we can choose from, but they all fit a specific theme. And so this month, since it's summer, the theme was Paris and taking a vacation to Paris. So all the books were Paris themed. And the book that I selected from that list was called The Little Paris Bookshop. And the idea, based on the synopsis on the back, was that there's this guy who owns a book barge. And so basically he runs a bookstore out of his barge, his boat. And it's called... he's a literary apothecary. And so he has a gift for being able to tell people, not just sell them books, but able to tell them, like, this is the novel that would be a good fit for you. It'll help you with this problem, or, you know, it will make you feel better about this kind of thing. So I really thought that was a really cool premise. But as it turns out, I hated this book. That was like a side note of the book, and it was really about him and grief over losing the love of his life, and the whole thing with, you know, being able to prescribe books to people, total side note, and that really, really disappointed me. And I felt like all the characters were written with extreme stereotypes, and I just, don't read this one. I hated it. Hated it. The only reason I gave it 2 stars instead of 1 is because the author's actual writing was good. Like, a talented writer. The story, no, didn't like it at all. So I was generous giving it that extra star just for quality of writing. And then the last book for the month of June, this was on my list that I wanted to read this month, and it's called The Diviners. And I'm actually only halfway through it. So I'm obviously going to get into July probably reading this one as well. But I'm about halfway through it. I'm listening to it on audiobook, and the audiobook is excellent. I'm really enjoying it. The narrator does a really good job with the different voices, and you know, it's set in the jazz age, the 1920s, and so we have a lot of the lingo and stuff, and it's really fun. So far on audiobook it's great, and I'm really enjoying it. The premise of it is that it's a little bit supernatural-ish and a little bit horror. So if you enjoy a show like Supernatural, and then you enjoy, you know, a little bit scary, we've got ghosts, we've got, you know, serial killers, that kind of thing, then this is a really fun book. You've got those little magical elements in it. We've got characters. The main character, she has this gift where she can touch an object and she can read the history of it and, like, know, you know, something about the person that owned it or that kind of thing. And so this is an interesting gift when it comes to solving some of these murders and supernatural events. So it's really fun so far. I'm really enjoying it, and I'm excited to wrap it up in July and tell you guys what I thought, because so far, so good. So anyway, that's what I read in June. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of these and what you thought, or of course if you are going to add any of them to your list, or you have any suggestions for me. And as always, don't forget to subscribe so that you don't ever miss what's happening in the next chapter. Thanks for watching.